Hi, today we're going to talk about the amazing nervous system. I want to go over the different pieces that are part of the nervous system. The first part is the neuron, which is a nerve cell, and it's got these fingers that go all the way through that reach to the outside environment called dendrites. And those dendrites' job are to pick up stimuli and send them up the cell body and to the spinal cord and the brain. In the middle of the dendrite is the nucleus, and that whole center part is called the cell body. Then this long portion here that just carries the electrical impulse signal, that is called the axon. And the axon is actually covered with a myelin sheath, which is a covering that will help speed up the movement of the impulse down the cell body. So I think of these little places as like the little piece on Mario Kart, those little arrow patches that you drive over and it shoots you forward really far and fast. That's what happens in the myelin sheath. And these little areas here that are purple, called the nodes of Ranvier, they actually are areas where the impulse is slowed down. And then the impulse goes to the axon terminal, where it goes to the next place. So the axon terminal has neurotransmitters with the impulse, and they are carried by synaptic vesicles. And the synaptic vesicles take these neurotransmitters, these messages, and it drops them off in this space called the synaptic cleft. Remember, cleft means space, so it drops them off here, and it's picked up on the other side by some receptors. Now that the synaptic vesicles are empty, they can actually pick up new impulses. So it picks up new impulses, and this entire thing is called the axon terminal. Think of an axon terminal as like a bus terminal is going to pick up and drop off people. The axon terminal picks up and drops off messages. The reflex arc is one of my favorite parts of the body. Sometimes when you pick up messages, the dendrites pick up messages, they have to send it all the way to the cell body, send it all the way down several terminals till it gets to the spinal cord, go up to the brain. The brain has to make a decision about the situation and send the impulse back down. The spinal cord who sends the messages to the muscle in the motor neurons. And that takes a long time. And so if something is imminent, some kind of major, I need to make a move right now or I could get really hurt or something bad could happen, then the message actually stops halfway, called the reflex arc. Where in this picture, this is a horrible picture, but I like it because it shows the situation really well. If a pin came and stabbed you in your elbow, your sensory neurons that pick up that sensation would go, whoa, we need to send a message now. And that message would go, and the spinal cord would get that message at an interneuron. So in between, an interneuron. And instead of sending that message up to the brain and saying, hey, what do you think about this needle in our elbow? Instead of doing that, the spinal cord goes, whoa, this is majorly painful. We need to move now. Don't send it to the brain. We're just going to act now. So it sends a message back down to the motor neuron in the muscle. Motor because it moves the muscle to say, jerk your elbow away from this painful pin that's coming into our elbow. So this is called a reflex arc. You can think of it as a ball is flying towards your face and you suddenly move. Or a vase starts falling off of the cabinet and you heroically go and catch it and you didn't even think about it. Or somebody starts to fall. Or you bat an fly away from your face without even thinking about it. Those are reflex arcs, and they happen automatically. That your body just says, hey, this is imminent danger. I need to deal with this now. So I want you to think, what are some painful or potentially painful, scary situations where your body might bypass your brain? Think about too, your doctor tests this when he goes and bangs your knee and wants to test your reflexes. He's testing that to see how fast your body responds. So if you kick the doctor back really quickly, that is a good sign that you have a strong reflex. All right, the middle part or the main part of your central nervous system is your brain and spinal cord. And it is called your central nervous system because it is the central most important part of your nervous system. And we are going to go over some parts of that. Your cerebrum does everything that's bright and beautiful and lovely. It directs voluntary movement and sensory processing, language communication, and even learning and memory. Everything that makes you special and unique is in the cerebrum. When you hear the unfortunate phrase, occasionally I don't like the phrase, but if you've heard of somebody being, quote, brain dead, what that means is that they are not detecting any more activity in the cerebrum, meaning there's not memory or sense processing or language and communication. Those kinds of things are unfortunately shut down in that individual. However, other parts of the brain can still persist, and one of them is the cerebellum. The cerebellum, if you have a wonderful sense of balance, you can thank your cerebellum. It can coordinate your muscle movements. So if you're somebody that's naturally athletic and really good at that kind of stuff, then you probably have a great cerebellum. And if you don't, your cerebellum might be a little off on you. And then think about the next one, which is your medulla oblongata. It is a fun name to say. And it is sometimes called your brainstem. And your brainstem controls your breathing, your heart rate, your blood pressure, your swallowing, and digestion. So all of your body processes can continue to occur even if your cerebrum is no longer working because it is controlled by your brainstem, your medulla oblongata. All right. What would happen to somebody if their nervous system didn't work? All kinds of things. You wouldn't have signals to say, hey, we need to move and pump blood. You wouldn't have signals to say, hey, your bladder's full and you should urinate. You wouldn't have thoughts or feelings about things. Your nervous system is so important. And besides your central nervous system, you also have a peripheral nervous system that is modeled in blue in this picture. In your peripheral nervous system, it picks up all the nerve sensations throughout your body and sends them to the central nervous system, which is your brain and spinal cord in pink and red. Peripheral nervous system also drives your senses, and it has a motor division that carries signals away from your body, and it has the automatic nervous system that controls your organs and muscles like digestion, and the somatic that controls your skeletal muscles. So sensory neurons pick up the sensations, motor neurons cause a change. So and then the last part I want to talk to you about is what's called your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. Your sympathetic nervous system is one of my favorites. It controls your fight or flight response. So when you are in a high adrenaline or scary situation, your body responds by dilating your pupils so that your eyesight is improved. It dries up your mouth to send liquids to other parts of your body. Your heart rate will increase, your breathing will increase so that you can fire more of your mitochondria and move your muscles better, and you will have more blood go to your muscles. What also happens is because your blood fills your muscles so that you can move better, it means that other body processes stop for a little while. Bone growth, digestion, a lot of other processes start to shut down because the blood goes elsewhere. So if you're constantly in stressful situations, you're not going to be digesting food as well. So it's something to think about. Parasympathetic nervous system is one that calms you down. It has the opposite yoga-like feeling where your heart rate slows down, your pupils constrict, you create more saliva, you digest really well. That's your parasympathetic system. All right, here's just a few questions to go over. What would be brought on by the fight or flight response? Which of those? There's 4. That would be the dilation of the pupils, increased heart rate. You would have more blood flow to the skeletal muscles and increased breathing rate. Which part of the brain controls balance and coordinating muscle movement? It is Y, the cerebellum. The nervous system is composed of, the central nervous system. So the central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord. What is the point of a reflex arc? In responding to a painful stimulus, is that it saves reaction time by bypassing the, what is it bypassing? It is bypassing the brain. All right, in the diagram above, the spinal cord is labeled X. That's probably an easier one for you. Which region is controlled for speech, creativity, and memory? It is Z. What region is breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, and digestion? Controls all your body functions. I love this name. It is the medulla oblongata. All right, look at this reflex arc. What is labeled B? It's a nerve that's going into the muscles, so it is a motor neuron. Motor neuron. All right, look at this. Where is the synaptic cleft? Remember, a cleft means space. The synaptic cleft is X. All right, where is the cerebrum located in this? It is letter Z. All right, involuntary muscle contraction, like dilation of the pupils, movement of the diaphragm, and the digestive tract are all controlled by what part of the brain? It is that fun one, the medulla oblongata. All right, look at this reflex arc and tell me what C is, this space in between the sensory neuron and the motor neuron. This space in between is called the interneuron. All right, we are going to finish up, and I hope you get to watch that a few times and enjoy the human nervous system.